We find ourselves in the Peach State today for a battle for points in the East. Rugby United New York visiting the Arrows of Toronto in their home away from home in Georgia this year, just outside of Atlanta. Take a look at the Eastern Conference standings as it is a playoff push here down the stretch. Atlanta sitting above the rest, but New York right now just ahead of New Orleans above that playoff cutoff line. For the final spot, of course, Toronto looking up at the rest of their Eastern Conference peers this year, having yet to play a true home match this season as a result of the pandemic. Today, their main role will be possibly that of spoiler here in this postseason push. Lincoln Rose, Kit McConical with you. Kit, you wouldn't know it. By the way, the season's finishing out, but back in April, Toronto went up to New York, and it was a lopsided affair in favor of the Arrows.
It was indeed. The Arrows, a franchise best in points scored, but ever since then, these two sides have gone in opposite directions. Right now, New York in playoff position. They need a victory today if they're going to stay there.
Take a look at the starting lineups for both of these sides. We begin with the big men up front. And you'll understand if there's some name tags being worn out there by the Arrows, a lot of fresh faces.
There are indeed. Director of Rugby Chris Silverthorne, 9 changes in the starters from last week's loss to Nola Gold. 5 of those coming in the pack. Jack McRogers, Tyler Rowland, they come into the front row. Mike Shepard gets a start at lock in place of Paul Cellini. The much welcome return of Tommy De La Vega at the 7. And the number 8, the former Ireland U20 man, Ronan Foley, gets his first start since becoming an Arrow.
Yeah, let's take a look at the backs for Chris Silverthorne's group.
4 changes made in the backs. Jason Higgins gets to start at scrum half. Giuseppe Dutoit and Mitch Richardson. That's the new midfield pairing, with Dutoit wearing the captain's armband for the first time. Joaquin Tucolet, the Argentine international, moves out to the wing, and Taylor Adams back at his usual spot at fullback.
So Toronto losing up to a dozen players to call-ups. Meanwhile, New York's certainly going to lose some players, but they haven't departed just yet. This is going to be a strong lineup.
It will indeed. Head coach Marty Veal making 5 changes in the starters from last week's narrow loss to Utah. Injuries in the front row sees a new starting pair with Zach Golafo alongside Wilton Rebolo. Rebolo, the Brazilian international, hoping to play in a big match next week. His side currently in action against Paraguay. Nick Savetta returns from his shoulder injury there at lock. Hanko Hermashais is the open side flanker.
And we take a look at the backs for Marty Veal as well.
First choice pairing restored as Fuatai starts at the outside center. Nawadi switching to the wing. Andy Ellis' continued absence means it's Connor McManus as the scrum half.
Well, we saw New York really pack a punch off the bench in their last outing. A lot of them get the starting nod today, so we take a look at the depth for both sides.
3 changes in the reserves for New York. Anthony Perry, Troy Lockyer, and tight head prop Kirk Hamlin looking for his first appearance of the year. And on the other side, there's a lot of new faces there. Hooker Joe Tomlinson, flanker Ollie Knott, and the outside back Kobe Faust has a chance to be the youngest player in MLR history at just over 19 years of age.
Well, of course, these two clubs will be forever linked. Both of them joined in year 2 of Major League Rugby back in 2019. Each of them led by their respective head coaches for a 3rd straight season.
These two coaches know each other well respected. We mentioned the matchup earlier this year, but right now Chris Silverthorne may be looking ahead to next season. Marty Veal still very much in 2021.
For Rugby United, still a chance to clinch that final spot in the East.
With the updated Presto app, you can load funds onto your Presto card instantly. So no need for this, or to wait here. Go from app to tap, just like that. Go Transit. Safety never stops. Our schedules have changed, and we'll keep updating them to serve you better. So be sure to visit gotransit.com to see the latest schedules. Have a very safe trip. Go Transit. Safety never stops.
Marietta, Georgia, just outside the ATL. Again, in this unique year, it's been the home away from home for the Arrows of Toronto. In fact, Toronto really hasn't played a true home match in Ontario for a couple of seasons now, after last year was cut short. So often they've gotten late starts because of the weather before they ultimately were able to set up shop for a late playoff push. Well, no playoff push this year for the Arrows. We mentioned international duty for about half of the team. But that means opportunity today, Kit McConico, for a lot of the new faces, and including one returning face in Sam Malcolm, as they collide with Rugby United here today. Take a look at some of their numbers on the season. Again, earlier they met in New York, 53-12 in favor of the Arrows. But since then, they've headed in opposite directions. We'll note there is a bit of a delay going on right now. They are still waiting for some health and safety staff to be on site before they're comfortable beginning this match. But soon enough, we'll have a chance to get underway.
It's been a difficult year for Toronto, more than 4 months away from home. They've gotten some care packages from their club sides, their provincial sides. They've gotten notes from Mom I saw this week and trying to do everything they possibly can. But it's certainly been hard for them. This is an important match for them. You mentioned Malcolm, the all-time leading scorer, back for them. He's going to be a big boost.
We're going to step aside. One final break. When we come back, hope to have kick here in Georgia.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
Both sides still waiting a few more moments before we get back underway, but Take a look at how things are shaping up in the East again, and be mindful of this. There are still 3 more matches on New York's schedule after this match, so they have a game in hand on several of these other teams they're fighting off. But that setback against Utah last weekend may have very well cost them a chance to host the semifinal. Right now, they're just trying to stay above that line.
They are indeed, and give Utah a ton of credit. Coming from behind, their 3rd consecutive match, they've come from behind and come away victorious. But because of that win by the Warriors, NOLA Gold are right there, just 3 points away from Rugby United. In New York, you mentioned it, the match is coming up. They will be at New England, Houston in 17, and then NOLA in round 18 to wrap things up. And those are 2 of those 3 teams. Those are playoff contenders. They need the victory today, and they need the bonus points as well.
Didn't just lose the points against Utah. Of course, lost captain Dylan Fawcett, and also will be without James Rockford for the foreseeable future. Take a look at the West, of course. Los Angeles, what a maiden voyage it has been for the Giltinis. Their first loss that proved they were mortal actually was against New York, a promising victory. And of course, right now, Utah sits above that line. They have the identical record with Austin, what a start it was this year for the capital city of Texas with the AG rugby side, but the difference there is bonus points.
That's exactly right. And for Austin, this team has won more matches this year than they have in their prior 3 years of existence. They still have a chance, but Utah, a big match tonight. They're at Houston. If they can get that victory and the bonus point, chances are it's going to be Utah going to the playoffs.
Well, the Kiwi Mike Lash heads up our 3-man officiating crew in the Rugby Shop pink kits today. We like to think of Mr. Lash as unofficially the 3rd member of our broadcast team. Look forward to listening in. Again, we are in the middle of a delay, the reason for which we're told with no ambulance on site, they are not comfortable, understandably, getting this match underway, just in case there were to be any injury that would need some EMTs on site. But there you see, New York is at full strength here today. Otherwise, mentioned they are without their captain, Dylan Fawcett, as well as James Rockford. But this match, not one they're going to go ahead and just chalk up for easy points. They remember that loss against the Arrows back in New York, trying to return the favor here today.
They are indeed. It's about a little bit of returning the favor, maybe a little bit of revenge, but more for them. It's just about staying in the top 2. And you think about, they've been pretty lucky. You've got these call-ups, 5 of their players called up for international duty, and the way it works for them, they kind of skirting this a bit. They still have those guys. Wilton Ebola, the Brazilians, still there. Nate Brakely, Savetta, Hanko Hermashais, the Americans, and Quinn Nwadi is still with this side as well as the Canadian international. He will take off tomorrow to go the other side of the pond. But you look at this conversely for Toronto, they have 12 call-ups, and almost all of their Canadian internationals, including all 3 of their Uruguayan internationals, they're already gone.
Yeah, they have already headed off. You mentioned kind of ironic that Nwadi, the one Canadian with New York, is available today, and we will see him out here on the pitch at Life University at Lupo Field. Again, Lincoln Rose, Kim McConico, along with our entire crew. Great to have you with us. We were scheduled to kick a few minutes back, but they are still waiting for an ambulance on site just to obviously be safe. We have seen every now and then need to have EMTs respond and just don't want to risk a injury early in this one and not having the right personnel on site. So here's the burden right now, find shade.
Well, it's about 85 degrees right now in Marietta, Georgia, but the humidity over 50%. It is hot and sticky today, and you're exactly right. At this point, not entirely sure when we're going to get this match kicked off, and you saw both teams immediately getting off the pitch, finding shade.
This is the first of 2 matches on this pitch today. It's one of just, I thought there might be more doubleheaders this year here in Marietta, with both Atlanta as well as the Arrows sharing the facility this year, but we've only seen a handful of them, but today is one of them. Atlanta back in action later on tonight.
They are indeed, and for Atlanta, the top of the standings in the Eastern Conference, Rugby ATL with a fantastic showing. They have had a powerful pack. They've gotten it done with the fours this year. But for Toronto, again, this team, they will not make excuses, but you have to understand, being on the road for 4 months, being away from your friends, your family, such a difficult thing to do. No one on this team has said anything, but they've continued to work. They've done everything, but make no mistake about it, they will be very happy to be back north of the border come next season.
Both of these teams today are trying to bounce back from late defeats last weekend. And Kit, that's not surprising in the sense that it seems like every single week we have drama in the final moments. So Folks, if you have to go somewhere, just come back in about an hour and a half, because frankly, that is when it seems like these matches are being decided on those final couple of possessions.
The parity in year 4 of Major League Rugby is uncanny. There are no, you mentioned LA earlier, and early in the season it looked like they were going to run the table, they were going to stay unbeaten. They have been blemished on 2 occasions. There are no teams that are unbeatable. Everyone can beat anyone at any given day, and we've seen that. I mean, you look at the matches, they're decided in the final 60 seconds, coming down. New York losing at the wire last week to Utah by a single point. The same for Toronto. I mean, it was a back-and-forth match with Nola Gold, and ultimately it was the side from New Orleans that pulled away late.
Well, there would be times we'd be calling this an 8-pointer or even more with 2 teams in the same conference here in the playoff push. Again, the Arrows mathematically outside of it, but they can certainly upset some teams. And again, rather than dwelling on all that great talent, and that's very much a part of Chris Silverthorne's fan, is being able to continue to develop those Canadians to succeed on the international stage. So he welcomes those guys being able to represent the red and white. But you have to imagine, if you're the individuals filling in some of those spots today, here is your opportunity to perhaps earn a position going into next year.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And they are so proud of these men going, not just to represent Canada, but going to represent Uruguay as well. They have 3 full Argentine internationals on this side as well, due to the Arrows. And they are so proud of it. It's not just an Ontario thing. They have players from across the spectrum of Canada. They have players from every single province well represented on this side. And when you look at these young men, they're going across the pond. These Canadians taking on the number 6 side in the world, Wales, on July 3rd. They're at Principality Stadium in Cardiff. And then they're taking on the number 3 team in the world, England, on July 10th at Twickenham. This is a massive opportunity, not just for the country, not just for the club, but for all of Major League Rugby.
If you're just now coming across the broadcast and wondering what's going on right now, it's not our hydration break just yet. As about 10 minutes ago, we were scheduled to have opening kick. No significant reason for concern. We are just simply waiting on an ambulance to be on site, as that is one of the requirements to play any match, understandably. So the Arrows colliding with Rugby United. Second and final time on the year. The Arrows have a chance to sweep this matchup. Meanwhile, New York trying to maintain form and bounce back from a loss last week.
Yeah, Toronto, they're looking to make it 3 in a row victories over Rugby United New York. And you look at this Toronto side, they have 9 losses on the year, but 4 of those have come from 7 points or fewer, then 2 from less than 14 points. This side, they have been in every single match. And for New York as well, with just the 4 losses, 2 of those have been by 7 points or fewer. So these 2 teams, as we mentioned, they've been in a lot of tight games, and expect this one to be no different.
Of course, that tight matchup for Toronto, they're trying to bounce back from seeing New Orleans steal some points from them at the end with a couple of kicks late. So we will step aside. We do have Arrows and Rugby United coming your way. Kickoff sooner than later, we hope, as MLR marches on.
With the updated Presto app, you can load funds onto your Presto card instantly. So no need for this, or to wait here. Go from app to tap, just like that. Go Transit. Safety never stops. Our schedules have changed, and we'll keep updating them to serve you better. So be sure to visit gotransit.com to see the latest schedules. Have a very safe trip. Go Transit. Safety never stops.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
Arrows and Rugby United still in a delay. We think it's going to be another 10 or 15 minutes as, again, waiting on an ambulance to be on site. No need for the ambulance at the moment, and we hope there won't be a need for that ambulance, but you understand that we do require to have one on site for these professionals to compete. Kid, I mentioned both these sides looking to bounce back from heartbreaking losses last weekend. For the Arrows, you saw it firsthand. It was you and Pete Steinberg on the call for Toronto against NOLA.
And we were right here at Lupo Family Field, Life University, the great Pete Steinberg and I. And these two teams, no love lost between these two sides. Julian Dominguez, the Argentine, able to break through, leads the lead in line breaks, just fins off, able to dot it down. That was a big start. Injured his shoulder, but was able to play the full 80 minutes.
Seems like wherever NOLA goes, so does the precipitation. They've been in some mud. You and I have seen a drop goal this year, but you did not see one last week.
No, and it was Ben Lesage who came through, able to charge down this one. The Canadian international not in the match day 23, a huge loss. He was able to draw things even, but then Cam Dolan, the USA Eagle, no one picked him up, and Dolan snuck right through one of the easier tries in his career.
Yeah, despite Lesage giving them that lead going into the second half, that lead was short-lived as NOLA goal able to strike back. But Toronto, again, back ahead.
A beautifully placed kick through and dotted down by Miras, the Uruguayan, also not with the side today. But then a pair of penalty goals at the end gave NOLA Gold the lead. It was back and forth, but ultimately that victory enough to get them through 18-12.
Those final two kicks would get them over the hump, the victory for NOLA Gold. So Toronto, with that sour taste, trying to get out of their mouth. We mentioned they went up and beat Rugby United in New York, but a lot of the leading cast members of that matchup not going to be with them today. We referenced this earlier, and you saw it on the reserves. Sammy Malcolm, though, is back with the boys in blue.
Oh, what a huge addition that is, the 25-year-old Arrow number 10, to give you an idea what a part of this program he is. Their all-time leader in points scored. He's the only non-Canadian to ever captain the Arrows in an MLR match, is Malcolm. And back after his time there in Japan, very happy to have him. He will start on the reserves bench, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we will get to see him sooner rather than later.
And then you talk about heartbreakers. Of course, New York last week, they thought they were perhaps going to get closer to claiming the East. Instead, they saw points slip away.
Utah, third consecutive match that they have come from behind to snatch a victory. A huge one here. A nice line out. This is where the majority of the tries in Major League Rugby have come from this year. They're able to establish the maul, just continue to go. You see Lance Williams there would not be denied. Spun it out and dotted down Mikey Teo, and the try there from Mika Kruse. Those two, they came in as substitutes and made a huge impact, the victory for the Warriors.
Lance Williams would be your man of the match. Lance and his men will be in action over in Houston later on tonight against the SaberCats. SaberCats are another team that are just trying to be spoilers over there in the West.
Really, that's what it's for these teams. Unfortunately, that's what they are trying to do.
Well, we have appropriately been giving standing ovations to first responders for the past year plus, and I suspect there will be another ovation here. Thrilled to see them on hand, as that means we are getting closer and closer to kick here in the Peach State. A battle between the folks calling Georgia home and the men from the Big Apple, as Rugby United and Toronto just a few minutes away from opening kick. We are told 4 minutes away from greatness here in Marietta.
So 4 p.m. on the dot being told our time for the opening kick, and sides back out on the pitch warming up. New York, all at stake for them. NOLA Gold are right there breathing down their neck. Just 3 points away in third position is that side from the Big Easy. And for New York, it's not just about getting the victory, it's about getting the bonus point as well. And we saw it in the Western Conference, the difference between Austin and Utah. Austin in third, Utah in second. They have identical records, but Utah has been able to come away with the bonus points, and that's the difference. That's why the Warriors are in playoff position.
If Mike Lash isn't already on TikTok, he is now. Look forward to him showing off his moves, and again, look forward to listening to the veteran on the mic throughout this broadcast as well. What a journey it's been through these 4 years in Major League Rugby. Again, both these sides joined during year number 2. In fact, that's the first time the Arrows realized what their journey would likely be like. This was always a team that needed to find points in the first half of the schedule, knowing their reward would be home matches on the back half. Well, no home games this year, but Georgia, they're home away from home. They host New York, minutes away from opening kick now.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
Well, again, back in April, 53-12, and that was back when Toronto was putting up points. Remember, they had owned Seattle the match prior as well.
You look at meters carried, and it was almost 2-1 in favor of the Arrows. They dominated that match. But these two teams, they've gone in distinctly different directions since then. And it's New York right now looking the better of the two sides.
We told you there would be rugby, and we look forward to delivering here as opening kick about to get underway to begin our opening 40 minutes of play. The whistle from Mike Lash. We are underway in Marietta. First of two matches today here inside the state border of Georgia.
A big tackle there, nicely done. New York, a team that traditionally starts quickly. Toronto, the majority of their points coming in that final 20 minutes. That's something they're going to want to rectify. Do not want to get behind early, as they've done too many times this season.
Vice Captain Jack McRogers getting in there to slow things down before the ball sent back over to the Arrows. As quickly met with resistance. Again, your captain, Detroit. There's still a few familiar names, some household names here for the Arrows today, as they look to upset Bautai and company. Fossey, former All Black 7 standout. 27-year-old Kiwi and his men looking to find some critical points on the road to stay above that Eastern Conference cutoff line. Two teams out of each half.
Big opening attack here from New York, doing a good job keeping ball in hand, going through the phases, going back and forth, using the full width.
That short side, trying to send one through. Okay, let's take a look at what it's going to take for each of these sides to bounce back from last week.
Well, for Toronto, really, it's about being the spoiler. They have no shot. They're mathematically out of playoff contention, but they can knock New York back into third place. And really, at this point, that's what it's going to be about for that side, just getting the victory and keeping New York out of the playoffs.
Will Kelly will boot this one into touch. Moments ago, that first penalty on New York, and again for them, just simply looking to bounce back.
They are indeed. That was a heartbreaking loss. Losing by a single point last week to Utah made it a 3-point affair between them and New Orleans for second and third place. And for a team that had won their previous 3, they just want to get back into the win column and solidify that second place spot.
McRogers, the hooker, will do the honors. We did not see him last year in that brief season, but back suiting up on match days with the Arrows here in 2021. As Detroit, the captain, will free it up. Oh, nice stick with the left hand, sending it out along the perimeter as Tucolette will send it up ahead. And Connor McManus, no mistake.
It's a beautiful offload to Tucolette, the Argentine. Electing to go to the bit, maybe a bit too early, had a chance there. He drawn the defender in and then gone with the offload.
Back and forth. This is Foley, signed this week. A hometown club, University College Dublin, of the All-Ireland League. Where he's represented the U20s.
Yeah, former Ireland U20, but he has a Canadian passport, so he's a domestic player. Very talented number 8, bringing that young man, just 22 years of age, on.
One of a couple of products from Ireland right in the heart of things with your number 8 and your scrum half for Toronto today.
Thanks, bud. Playing advantage. Good advantage, Blue. No, get in.
All right, Toronto playing with house money here, working with the advantage. Let's see if they gamble. They're not going to have an opportunity to really take advantage. Once Higgins brought down, they'll reset.
And we'll come back for the infraction. We'll see what the Arrows elect to do here. Are they going to kick for post?
Full orange roll.
So New York pinged for not rolling away.
They can be blue. Orange is
it
too
looks
hard.
it,
Shot is
we
cool.
will see what they're going to do. Yeah, they will indeed. They will bring out the tee, and the Arrows looking to strike first just 4 minutes in. Lincoln, you get a good look there at the Toronto side. You see the traditional blue and white. Well, some different colored socks from that team. Those are actually their club socks. They're such a big deal to them to keep that connection with those club teams they came up through, and hats off to them for that.
It was Nate Brakely failure to roll away after making that tackle that helped set up this opportunity from the tee for Will Kelly. Kit, you know, I'm tired of hearing the cliche that all Canadians play hockey. By the way, Will Kelly played AAA hockey for the Brantford 99ers.
That's impressive, AAA hockey. That's nothing to sneeze at. Kelly, 57% in his kicking on the year.
It is true, and Toronto on the board here in their home away from home in 2021.
Great stuff there, and I like the decision from Toronto. Go for points early on, just settle things down, give yourself the early lead. And Kelly, no trouble, nicely struck ball.
You warm enough?
So Arrows opt for points early. And they'll get the ball right back. Not a lot of set pieces early on. We just saw the one line out for the Arrows a couple of minutes ago. Of course, what we've come to realize is what many folks expected here in Major League Rugby. Right around half of the tries scored this year, you could point to their origin coming from a successful set piece on a lineout.
That's generally where tries in Major League Rugby have come from in 2021, the lineout more often than not. All judges go backwards there, but New York's really the exception. They've done a great job varying the origin of tries, particularly with the scrum. They have a great set piece, and they've used that on attack.
Probably nothing in it, but just watch it, mate.
Ball stays with Toronto as they will boot it the other way.
Oh, beautiful kick right there, well weighted.
Tracked down by Harry Bennett, your team of the week this past week for his 9 points, the try, and a couple of conversions in that narrow defeat against Utah. Bennett among your OGs with New York.
Yeah, the man from New South Wales. He had an outstanding match last year. You mentioned his 9 points to try and 2 conversions. He found holes defensively, big with the boot, 6 kicks for 230 meters.
You see the lineouts, the percentage of success stories so far this year. We've already touched on why that's so important, as this is one of the better ways to set up a score. Now, often you're talking about closer to 5 meters out, but we'll see if McRogers can get something started here.
Nice take there, beautiful ball in from McRogers. Oh, Shep unable to hold on.
Honko right into his loving arms, able to get the turnover. Honko Hermeshei's the Eagle.
Yeah, so dangerous there, and his guy bearing down on you. You get the alligator arms a bit when Hermeshei's is in the vicinity.
And the Fijian will free it up. As Twake back on his feet, let's see where New York wants to go with this ball. Right up the spine. Back to Minturn. And a fortunate hop going backwards. Will Leonard able to recover. And quick hands from Taulafo.
Taulafo just trying to do a bit too much to the Manu Samoa International. Fortunate New York still with it.
And back to Taulafo, the loose head. Will free it up. Almost a little bit of chaos there, but stays with New York, still on track. Here's Will Leonard. And trying to put a 50-50 ball out there for Nawadi, the Canadian, against the lone club from his home side.
Yeah, the man out of Victoria, British Columbia, Nawadi. Canadian U20 man, former Toronto Wolfpack player.
Really versatile athlete. Whether you need him at lock, center, even fly half on any given day. Willing to wear whatever hat you need him to wear that day.
He played with Pacific Pride, as did a lot of these Arrows. They know each other, they played with each other, and as we said, he will be on a plane tomorrow headed across the pond to join the red and white, the Canadian national side.
Toronto about 11 meters out, turnover on the line out, taken away by Rabolo. So miscue from the Arrows, will it cost them?
Big opportunity here from New York inside the 22.
Savetta.
Stay here, please.
Now conversely, this is where it's perhaps toughest to score when you're flirting with that try line.
No, you're fine. It's this man here.
Get the call from Mike Lash.
No, mate, you're on the ground. You're out of the game.
Oh, I stole it, no?
No, you didn't. No, I disagree. Hands.
And when there's a differing of opinions,
Back up, Yep.
one man's is weighted slightly more than the
He's
other.
just on the ground. He's
Now we roll in the Mississauga native ping there. And here it comes, the kick to touch. Line out coming shortly. Take another look at the penalty, and rolling there, coming in on the tackle. Did the 22-year-old, just couldn't get out of the way.
That's where you thought he had a takeaway. Again, kick into touch. Big opportunity here for New York to answer with their first score and possibly their first lead.
Savetta there, nice take.
Able to taunt it down, New York is in.
That is a textbook penalty to line out, driving maul to try. That is just how they drew it up. Honko Hermeshei's, the man who dots it down. Beautiful execution from New York.
Well, soon enough, Honko will be back in the red, white, and blue with those Eagles. But Eagle number 489 still had one more match to work in with his mates here in New York.
Great throw from Rabolo right to Savetta, able to establish it. The big men come in, bowling forward, and you see the power. Honko across, the USA Eagle puts New York ahead.
So each side here has had a lead early on. First try of the day belongs to New York, and Kit, they want to get at least 3 more. They're not going to be happy with just 4 points. They want the bonus as well.
That's exactly right. They want the victory. They understand the importance of that bonus point. Bennett looking to tack on 2 via the conversion.
Had a pair of conversions against Utah last week, and this one's going to be pushed wide. So it'll be a 2-point discrepancy on the board. Honko with the first 5 for Rugby United to give them the lead against the Arrows.
And nicely done, the 24-year-old, originally from Kimberley, South Africa, raised in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. But Honko, the former Austin man, he has made a home in New York. I spoke with him earlier this year. I said, how do you like it? He said, I'm a country boy at heart, but I've very much enjoyed living in New York.
Yeah, former national champion in Austin with the Huns, that top club before moving up to the Major League Rugby side. Of course, we saw him with the Raptors as well over there in Colorado before finding his home in New York these past couple of years.
21 caps for Eagle number 489. Remember that 2019 World Cup side. But a big miss on the conversion there. Bennett unable to split the uprights. In Toronto, we've already seen them kick for post once with a penalty goal, and another would put them ahead.
All right, Toronto failed to execute on their last line out. You could argue that helped set up New York's most recent score. Let's see if they can fare better here in New York's half.
No contest.
Spoiler, they can.
Good work there from McRogers. Clean things up from the previous.
Foley will spin it out one.
You see a very aggressive line of orange shirts there. New York keeping so many men close to the gain line. Looks like there may be an opportunity for Toronto to kick over.
Again, we got started about a half hour late. That's a forward touch, a pair of them, but they're going to play on.
And that is what that aggressive defensive line from New York does.
Scrum, blue.
Forces the mistakes.
Here is why the season coming to an end probably makes me sadder than I expected. And that is because there will be Tuesdays soon enough where we will not see these two smiling faces. Stacey Pates, Mark Strabina, of course. Cherish it while you can. Tuesdays, 5:30 Eastern over on Fox Sports 2. Each and every week they get you caught up on every match throughout Major League Rugby and even a few dad jokes you haven't heard yet.
They do an outstanding job, both of them. And obviously with the Rugby Network this year, you can watch every match. If you don't have time to watch every match, make sure you're watching MLR All Access with Mark and Stacey.
New York opting for the scrum here at midfield.
Guys, I know it's hot, but we can't be lazy, okay? Let's come down, take our own space, and then when we bind, and when we sit, okay? Bind means bind, it doesn't mean sit. Let's get some space.
I felt like
Good
Mike
boys,
Lash was
let's go.
talking to us there for a moment.
Yep, good, yep, perfect, stay there.
Mike Lash, all of our MLR referees doing a fantastic job. They really have from day one. We're so fortunate to have such great officials.
Well, in the first couple of years, they probably helped define the play more than any other element of the league.
You're right, and the style of play. They've had a huge part in that now here in year 4.
Now that knowledge has really been passed down from the veteran players to the new faces. This one freed up, New York already with one try in the books. And a knock on right into the arms. Oh, what an opportunity for Taylor Adams the other way. And now a foot race. Can New York smother this one? It's out the back.
They had to. A rare mishandle from Kakabalavu, the Fijian 7-star. He is great in space, and that time just unable to secure it, something we rarely see from him. Right into the hands. You see it right there. Just put right into the hands. It came off of Sheridan right to Adams. And New York able to get there in that try zone in time.
As Will Leonard able to save the day, at least for the moment. After it goes out the back, able to kick it away. We'll exchange a few volleys back and forth.
And you heard Michael Ash in that previous scrum mentioning the heat. It is hot, upper 80s, but the humidity above 50%, that is a factor. It's a slick ball out there. We've already seen that a few times with the handling errors early.
Good scrum. We set a good standard, okay? Yeah. Okay. Everyone will be happy with that one. Rob, use the line. Use the line. Go to the right, each side. Left, sorry.
New York scrum here.
Same again, men.
Come on.
And Connor McManus will feed the scrum in a moment.
Crouch.
The Kiwi moved to the States, specifically the Commonwealth of Virginia, back as a teenager at age 15.
Sit.
As the 22-year-old gets things reset here with the set piece.
Yeah, we'll play that.
Oh, beautiful work there from New York. And just as I say that, they turn it over.
Ball spills loose, and again, opportunistic are the arrows. They will reclaim the lead as Tucolette will dot it down. Oh, a couple of miscues. The first one did not cost New York, but you gave a second bite at the Big Apple to these arrows here in the Peach State, and they make the most of that meal.
They did indeed. Great work there. Adams, unselfish. He found the Argentine international, and it's ultimately Joaquin Tucolette who dots it down. A mistake. They were doing a fantastic job going through hands. Nice passing outside was New York. Looked like they may have found that edge. But then the mishandle, Adams comes away with it. And Tucolette able to dot it down. You take another look, And there it was, just a mishandle. Adams on the spot. Great support line run by Tuculet. Found him, and Tuculet in for 5.
They've been playing on this artificial surface all season long, so by now they know how that egg bounces. A nice partnership there down the stretch.
Yeah, big response there from the Arrows, the man from La Plata, Argentino.
Will Kelly. 5 points of his own today added to the resume, and it stretches Toronto's lead.
A huge turn there. It was New York on the front foot, Toronto coming back against the run of play. We've mentioned the opportunity to play spoiler, and they have something to prove as well. All the talk this week has been about New York. New York trying to stay in the top 2. New York looking to play, get into the playoffs. Toronto, they have no shot at making the playoffs right now. They're trying to prove themselves. This has been an off year by their very high standards, and they still have a few matches. They want to go out 2021 on a high note.
Ball sent back over to Toronto.
Happy. Okay, stay there, stay. Wait, thank you.
You see the scores in transition. Toronto wasn't able to capitalize the first time today, but certainly made the most of that last opportunity.
They do a great job in that, turning errors into points through the Arrows.
Dr. Pete Steinberg on MLR Kickoff, the great podcast that he and Dan Power have each week throughout the season. Again, reiterated, if you're not going to score on the line out, chances are you're going to be scoring from distance.
Really, that's what it is. When you look at the stats, and the great Pete Steinberg exactly right about that. Oh, maybe a chance here for New York.
They have numbers. Do they have the might? This one will be poked up. Honko trying to recover. And let's see. That ball bounces backwards, takes it inside the 5. New York still threatening. Bennett. Again, the ball continues to bounce away from the visitors from the Empire State. Out wide. Rugby United, did he get pressure to apply down, or are they bringing this back? They're going to come together and talk about it.
You happy with the grounding? Yes. Cool, thanks, bud.
You heard, there was grounding. Try for New York.
What a job there. Looked like they had it on the near side. Had they been able to get that ball quicker to Savetta. But again, they go to the far side. Kakabalavu, beautiful work right there. Oh,
yeah.
He may not have gotten it down. It looked like that ball came out before he was able to get the grounding. But there is no TMO, and the try awarded, and what a massive turn that is right there. The Fijian ties things up in New York. A chance to take the lead via the conversion.
Kakabalavu, it appeared pretty clear that the Fijian had already lost that ball, but ultimately it will be ruled a try for New York, which means a chance to reclaim a lead here if they're able to strike successfully this time around. Bennett, after pushing the first one, will pull this one. So 0 for 2 on conversions means we are dead even at the first hydration break. 20 minutes in. New York trying to stay above the playoff cutoff line. And it's a battle here in Georgia.
Come on.
Today's coverage of Major League Rugby presented by Honda, proud partner of the Toronto Arrows, and by Puma, the official boot of the Arrows. Lincoln Rose, Kit McConico, and our entire crew. Marietta, Georgia, the site today of not just one, but 2 Major League Rugby contests that will have postseason implications in the East. The class of the East, the Rattlers, who saw their debut season cut short last year, are the cream of the crop right now. Everybody else looking up at them, including New York, sitting in second at the moment. You see Toronto, talk about heartbreak again, 4 losses by 7 points or fewer, just settling for that lone bonus point in those 4 outings.
It's been a difficult season for the Arrows for so many reasons, but particularly when they look at all of those losses by 7 points or fewer, those are just difficult to swallow.
Toronto looking for another successful charge down for another consecutive week.
Keep coming, keep hold there. Hold
Instead,
there.
they'll return the favor. So 2 tries, New York is halfway to the try bonus, although they are leaving some points on the table in terms of a couple of missed makeable conversions. That second one a little more challenging after the deemed try was right on the edge inside that touch line. Well, so many great things have evolved coming into this 4th year, and of course we started this year with the introduction of a new app to put on your phone, the Major League Rugby app, great for updated storylines, scores. It complemented, along with the addition of the Rugby Network, have made it to where if you want to complain about something, it's having too much content and not enough time, not enough days of the week to get caught up.
And not just too much content, too much free content. What else can you ask for?
Right there.
Yeah, you don't have to convert from the U.S. to the Canadian dollar or anything.
I give Toronto a lot of credit in this match. They've come out, penalty goal from Kelly early on, the try from Tukulet, successful conversion. The attack has been there from Toronto. A few miscues from Rugby United New York have given them those opportunities, but that's what good teams do. They turn mistakes into points. We mentioned that Toronto, the best in Major League Rugby at doing that.
It was penalties that you could say cost New York in that 1-point loss last week. Today, some handling errors early on.
Yeah, that was a massive issue for them last week. And you get into the final few rounds, you get into the playoffs, those are things you have to clean up.
Thank you.
Line out for Rugby United.
Hold.
Sent in by Rabolo. McManus quickly sends it out.
Knock on only.
Tawaki finds it at his feet.
It's good.
Chance to play an advantage here after the knock-on from Toronto, the captain Breakley. Your captain in the absence of Dylan Fawcett, who was lost last week. Fuatai.
That's a massive loss, not having the butcher. Dylan Fawcett leads this side in points scored. Both he and Dan Hollingshead not in the match day 23. Those two really the leaders of this side, both in points scored and just all across the pitch.
Well, Leonard now will see this ball heading in the wrong direction. You heard advantage no longer something that New York can fall back on as it has expired. Oh, some nifty footwork stepping through some ankle tackles. Bonasso.
Ben Bonasso doing a very good job there, the blindside flanker. Oh, what a take. Able to rip it away. Where are the arrows?
Jason Higgins, your Irish scrum half.
Cool. Step, please. Stay there.
You know, of course, Higgins last year had signed with Rugby United before the start of the season, but paperwork issues would preclude him from ever signing up with New York. They were kind enough to give an alert to Toronto and put him on their radar, saying, hey, he's got a Canadian father. He might be a good fit for you. The rest is history.
That was a really classy move by New York to do that. Certainly did not have to, and now he's coming back to play against them. But hats off to them for that, as Higgins now a big contributing member to the Arrows.
New York's second try has us tied up at 10 apiece here. That was shortly before the hydration break. As refusing to go down, Minturn, the man with the 8 on his back today, out of Cork, Ireland.
A massive carry for the number 8, the 25-year-old there. Just a big unit at 6'4" and over 260 pounds.
Kikau Balavu with his most recent carry. That ball spills loose, but stays with New York. And finally, they're going to try to chew up some real estate here and perhaps force a handling issue for Toronto. Well, knuckleball into touch.
And nicely fielded there, and give Hermashais credit, the one with the chase on the kick. But Toronto right now they're playing a very intelligent game. You take another look at that kick back. And oh my, just able to shake free. Little shake and bake there on Hermesheis.
We got an injury, you man down.
We might have a future Matador living north of the border.
I think avoiding a bull on rushing, not too different from a Hanko Hermesheis coming at you at full speed.
Well, that's your scrum half, Jason Higgins. Again, Faust would be your option to plug in if he could not continue.
And if he does, he will be the youngest player to ever play in Major League Rugby at just over 19 years of age.
And most recently we saw him with the Canadian U18 side.
I'm going to sit you down, okay?
But it appears as though Higgins will be able to continue.
Toronto has to be pleased with what they've seen here. Into the 26th minute, they have things knotted up. They've taken advantage of New York mistakes. New York with the majority of the possession. Territory a little bit more even between these two sides. But for Toronto, a team that traditionally gets better as the match progresses. Very good opening 25 minutes.
All right, Wilton Rabolo, another line out here set to go for New York. This is a full-strength squad, a talented group of reserves waiting in the wings. Miscue this time as this line out winds up with Mike Shepard.
You got a knock-on advantage off the line out if you want it.
And you heard icing on the cake indicated by Mike Lash, the knock-on. Oh, a huge lick delivered by Kikabalavu.
There's a line out.
The Fijian sevens player coming up, absolutely obliterating the arrow, but it was advantage for Toronto, so we'll go back for the penalty. But take a look at the hit from Kikabalavu on Adams.
Kind enough to escort him safely down to the ground. As takes out the fullback Adams.
23 caps for the Fijian sevens side, the 28-year-old.
Appreciate it. Keep it up, it's good.
Obviously one of the top sevens teams in the world. They have been for some time now.
I would argue there was downward pressure there. New York may have caught a break on its second try. Right now we are level at 10 as Higgins will feed this scrum.
Good scrum there, nice attacking platform provided for Toronto. Now just shy of the 10, they need to turn this attack into points.
There's a sea of orange in pursuit of that ball.
No, play that, heavy with that. Thank you. Play on, play the advantage.
Again, it's
here. Advantage over.
Now it's a foot race. That ball is tight roping along the touchline. Honko looking for a brace, and it's just not meant to be. Oh, what fun down that far touchline. A little bit of a foot race for the egg.
Oh, what a job. Somehow that kick staying in play. Hermesheis giving in his all. The big man unable to get there and just sent out. What a kick this is. Perfectly weighted. Take a look. It looks for all the world that it's going to find its way out into touch and just continues to go straight. You see the foot race. Hanko there able to get a touch to it.
Just a tad heavy.
When you're ready, mate. When you're ready.
I don't think we use the word grace enough around Hanko.
He certainly has it.
Nawadi against some of his fellow countrymen. Knock on by Toronto. New York plays an advantage here. Let's see if they go back to the boot. They seek to reclaim a lead as we have seen the advantage on the scoreboard bounce back and forth. In this one.
Advantage over.
Nice support. Leonard finally hauled down. Talafo.
Off feet. Three. Where you go? No, where you go? Where you go?
Tawake pinged off his feet at the breakdown, and that's a huge mistake. We mentioned the most penalized team in the league. They were on the attack, on the front foot, just outside the 22. And the big Fijian international with a massive mistake in the breakdown. A good ball out.
They assert he was not supporting his own weight off his feet, as seen there. You're allowed to reach over, but
Dumb penalty, mate.
that weight has to be balanced back on your heels.
It does, and Mike Lash thought that was not the case for the 24-year-old former Manawatu Turbos man. Shepard being attended to.
Park it, next task.
32-year-old out of Brampton.
No.
Has a doppelganger in Austin, Texas, apparently. As spotted in a previous match.
Former Brampton Beavers man, also with the Stony Creek Camels.
Again, most folks are familiar with this. On the artificial surface, you often have these little black beads, pellets in there.
You good?
To help keep the blades of grass, if you will, upright. And that's what you're seeing adorned on his face and bedazzling the arms of some of the players.
Huh? No, wait a minute. No, we're gonna start up again. You don't need water break. Give it time. Come on.
Shep, one of the faces of this franchise, and he and Rob Brower, the 38-year-old young loosehead from Lindsay. Brower, the Canadian international, was not with his team until last match, as he's a teacher. Obviously, his classroom duties taking precedence, but now the school year having wrapped up, and he can join his side.
Look, the Arrows have something special, being the lone side in MLR representing Canada. And they take the extra bit of pride in what that means. They know, to be where they are today, that there were a lot of clubs that fed into that, made it possible. And I love the homage to that you'll notice there's one part of their kit that's not matching each other.
I love the fact that they're wearing their club socks. They got gift packages this week from back in Canada. Had some notes from Mom. I think so there were some ketchup chips in there as well, a few other things. But there was some gear from those club teams that they are well represented. And it's so impressive, and that's really a part of Major League Rugby. The teams, the schools that have brought these players to where they are. Arrows do that as well as anyone.
Well, that ball didn't go for quite as long of a run as they had hoped for New York. Toronto recovers here back at midfield. Now looking for some space. Trying to sneak one through. It's going to sneak into touch, however, as they were trying to hook up with Tukulet for perhaps his second try.
The idea was there. It was a good kick through from Kelly, just a bit much on it. And on this artificial surface, you never know how quick that ball is going to skip across. And Tukulet unable to catch up to it. Again, the idea was there. Saw two defenders out wide. Tukulet knew what was coming, just couldn't get there in time.
So another set piece here for New York, able to execute on the line out. Honko. Through congestion. And not a lot of gas in the tank at the moment on these long sprints from inline to inline that we've seen recently. Arrows able to get back on it.
Well, it's been running rugby in the first 32 minutes. It has definitely been inline to inline, going back and forth. You see the long kicks, good chases. Very entertaining first half hour.
Higgins will set up our next line out. Little hitch in his giddy up.
And it does indeed. Jason Higgins, the man raised in Cork, Ireland.
Numbers? 4. On that, Armin.
Rebolo may be his last game with this side. If Brazil gets the victory today over Paraguay, the Minas Gerais native would join his national team.
Yeah, he'd be suiting up against either Chile or Colombia, depending on how it all plays out.
I think the Condores are going to get the victory there. I think that's going to be Chile.
One more partnership. Nawani able to free it up, and there it is. New York has that lead that had eluded them after the missed conversion their last time in. As Ben Foden looks now to be in some discomfort, though.
Foden, one of the top signings back in 2019, the former English international. A beautiful ball out to Foden. Foden, great job able to dot it down, but it was a team try going through the phases. Nice passing, unselfish. Ultimately, Foden with the 5 to put New York back ahead. But you see it here from the breakdown. Beautiful job there from McManus. And a fantastic ball sent out wide from Fuatai.
All good, mate.
Beautiful work there. Ravasi Fuatai and Foden with the 5.
I feel you. I feel you.
A little concerned because, of course, Foden, once the rugby season's over, he's going to need those dance steps that he has. We saw him a couple off seasons ago on Celebrity X Factor in front of judges Simon Cowell and company. He and 2 other rugby greats over in England formed, we won't call it a boy band, but is a boy band, called TriStar. Tried to win them over. They were eliminated a little prematurely.
I'll let you tell him to his face it was a boy band. I will wisely avoid that with Mr. Foden.
Yeah, just so you've got that.
But a big try from New York to come back, take the lead, and a successful conversion. That's important because on the previous 2 tries, both conversions were missed.
So the Brit has given New York the lead. They convert their first conversion successfully, so a 7-point advantage, the largest discrepancy we've seen. And it's in favor of New York, the team that really must win to stay above that playoff line. Thought about the dummy, instead pure speed. Oh, it does not take long for a return trip, and there's your converted try. A fresh 7 on the board for New York.
7 points, boys, 7 points. So turn around if you need to.
The 7-pointer, what a job, Bonasso. The Argentine, born in Connecticut, the former Los Pumitas man. He looked for all the world that he needed the support, and I think he dummied everyone else. Downshifted, and then all of a sudden, Bonasso, the big blindside flanker, just put it into another gear, blew by the arrows. But what a job. You see him here at midfield, 2 arrows there, and somehow he just found the speed and able to go right by Kelly for the try.
Again, he splits the posts, and as of this season, no conversion necessary, the full 7. So with apologies to Harry Bennett, that's a full 7 points added to the resume for Bonasso.
When you're ready, mate. When you're ready.
Good job from the former Argentina U20 man, Bonasso.
Yeah, stay there, please.
That is 19 unanswered points for New York. This had been a nail-biter. Charge down for Toronto. Can this spark something before the end of the opening half?
Toronto needs points right now. There will be a change. It appears that it's going to be Sam Malcolm coming on, the Arrows' all-time leading scorer, and that is good news for Toronto, but they desperately need to find points before this halftime break.
Yeah, we mentioned he had briefly stepped away to compete in Japan, but now back wearing the blue and white just in time. They needed reinforcements. Ball stripped loose, tapped back and recovered by McManus. And a knock-on call.
And that was a rip, but I went forward and touched him. Scrum white.
So this will be
good, Ben, but it's just knock on.
Toronto's scrum.
Knock on scrum.
You hear Michael Ash there and the knock on, but after a match that was 10-10, it was 10-5 in favor of Toronto.
I think come through and gave it. So it's just rip was fine. Yeah.
Now 19 unanswered for New York.
I just looked at you, man. I'm just kidding. You okay? What are you doing? What are you doing? Who's down? Are you no good? Are you no good?
Well, you heard us referencing it earlier, Kit. I appreciate you paying for my free subscription in addition to all of our closest friends.
I thought the similar thing.
But what an addition this has been this year. If you missed the match, which if you're listening to me right now, you're either watching us live or maybe right now you are watching us on the archive of the Rugby Network. But this has really taken Major League Rugby to a global audience in a one-stop shop to get caught up on all things MLR.
I saw the training staff out there taking a look at Mike Shepard and former Ontario Blues man who's been playing representative rugby with them since 2013. He's picked up a knock earlier and hope he'll be able to continue. What a push from New York. What a job from the New Yorkers there in the scrum. Those forwards just put the foot down, all muscle from the men in orange.
Standing up under pressure.
If they can minimize some of their miscues that we've seen in the opening half,
Give him space, please.
they could start feeling a lot better about the chances of taking 5 points back home.
Well, they have the side. The talent, that is not up for debate. The attack is there. Defensively, they're a stout side. Is Malcolm able to keep this one in? But the penalties, those miscues, the infractions, continue to shoot themselves in the foot, and they're going to get into the playoffs, and they're going to make a run for that shield. It's something they're going to have to clean up.
Buatai will send it the other way. New York sitting on 3 tries today, just 1 shy of that bonus point.
Keep moving. Play on, together. Roll, tackler.
De La Vega finally brought down.
Yeah, Tommy De La Vega back in the starting 15 after missing last week, and he is a huge addition as the Argentine international.
Nawadi did not allow him to free up that ball, to his credit, but Toronto's going to play an advantage now.
You want it? 5, roll clear. You, roll clear.
So Bonasso pinged for the infraction, not rolling. Now we'll see what Arrows elect to do here. Final few seconds of the half.
I think Higgins will ask for the tee.
Well, they've got Malcolm out there. You have the franchise's all-time leading scorer, and I think they're going to kick to touch and try to set up a line out.
Yep. Misread the indication there.
Numbers! 9 clock, right, okay?
Welcome back, Mr. Malcolm.
Oh, the Arrows fans could not be happier to have Sam Malcolm back. What a difference the 25-year-old from Wanganui, New Zealand makes.
All right, so still about 26
I'll call you, okay? I'll call you.
meters out. Clean throw down the middle into Toronto.
4. Fine, it's 6 on the side.
We had reached a stalemate there for a moment before Mason Flesh finally surged forward.
That big man from Coburg, nice carry.
Can the Arrows cut into this 14-point deficit before halftime?
No, off now.
They saw New York find back-to-back tries in about a minute span.
Whereabouts, right here? Okay. Yeah, we got options. You got options of penalty over there, 6 on the side, or 8 offside right here. You've got penalty over there for 6 on the side.
Kelly knew he was playing with the advantage, a little kick through. Why not in that situation? Now we'll see what the Arrows elect to do. Very little time remaining in the half.
You still got to come through highmost foot.
There were 2 separate penalties, so really a chance to choose which position you preferred.
You're in your own time. Time is up, okay?
Here with this next scrum or kick. And frankly, looking at the math, I don't think we're going to be looking for 3 points anytime soon.
No, not in this situation. Down 14, having conceded the last 19 points.
Just talk to me and I'll call you out if I want to.
Arrows know to be in this match, it's going to be about tries, not penalty goals.
Gap's good.
Well, ideally, Toronto can set up a maul and then begin driving towards that try line. A little precarious there.
Good take from De La Vega. Fantastic work.
Able to secure it.
That's 1 half. Come out now. No.
Ball is formed.
Yeah, you're fine.
Now Toronto just trying to get a surge.
Okay, get ready to use it. No, play. No, it's a tackle, roll. Stay here.
Civetta makes the tackle. So change of plans for Toronto. Trying to answer the 19 straight points scored by New York. Fine. Use it now. Let's go. And again. Hey, watch out for me. The hooker, McRogers. And there's the look that Toronto needed. Mike Shepard. Former All-MLR first 15 from the last full season in 2019. The pride of Brampton is able to dot it down.
Beautiful job there from Shep. Exactly what they needed. You have to get a try. Shepard on the spot. Want to from the 32-year-old log. You see him right there, number 5 on the spot. Just enough space, unable to get the tackle.
And a converted try between the posts.
Fantastic response to cut it to a 7-point game at the break.
So that does send us to halftime in Marietta, Georgia. We've got a good one. Stick around.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
With the updated Presto app, you can load funds onto your Presto card instantly. So no need for this, or to wait here. Go from app to tap, just like that. Go Transit. Safety never stops. Our schedules have changed, and we'll keep updating them to serve you better. So be sure to visit gotransit.com to see the latest schedules. Have a very safe trip. Go Transit. Safety never stops.
Today's coverage brought to you by Blue Point Brewing, brewed for the bold. Halftime here in Georgia as Toronto in its adopted home, cutting the deficit in half right before the break. They trail by 7 to New York, who needs all 5 points to stay in that hunt for the top 2 in the East.
With the updated Presto app, you can load funds onto your Presto card instantly. So no need for this, or to wait here. Go from app to tap, just like that. Go Transit. Safety never stops. Our schedules have changed, and we'll keep updating them to serve you better. So be sure to visit gotransit.com to see the latest schedules. Have a very safe trip. Go Transit. Safety never stops.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
halftime. Again, the Arrows in their home away from home, and you wonder if they sold maybe some polos that you can flip inside out. Atlanta on one side, Arrows on the other. If you're a rugby fan in the state of Georgia, you were treated to twice as many matches here in Major League Rugby this year. A nice treat here in 2021. Lincoln Rose, Kit McConico back with you here at the midway point. And Kit, don't tell the Arrows they have nothing to play for, because there are a lot of fresh faces out there, and they're competing, holding their own.
They are indeed. They're looking for spots next season, and some of these older statesmen looking to make a statement. And give the Arrows the credit. It was back and forth early on, 19 unanswered from New York, but a massive try at the end of the first half, and just a 7-point game after the first 40.
Yeah, finally answered by that converted try. Take a look at how things are in the East. Again, Toronto, DC, they're not postseason bound, but there are still 4 teams in the hunt for those 2 spots in the East. Atlanta really likes where it sits right now. New York can appreciate that they have a game in hand. At the moment, have a lead. They are 1 try away from that try bonus point as well. But all of a sudden, they're not concerned about Atlanta so much as they're concerned about New Orleans right behind them.
Well, they are indeed. And even though Toronto's out of the playoff picture, the pressure's on New York. This team just 3 points away from NOLA, 41 points for New York. They understand they have to get the victory. They have to get the try bonus. And you've seen that in the first half. You've seen some handling errors, playing a bit tight for the New Yorkers. And we'll see if they're able to clean things up and come away with the victory. Not just the victory, but the try bonus is necessary.
Well, after last season was cut short, the wait has been worth it. What a treat the 2021 campaign has been. So much drama. Unless you're a fan over there on the West Coast, where there was virtually no drama until New York handed Los Angeles its first loss. Giltinis have since picked up a second despite 217-point differential to their favor.
Oh, what a job they have done. An attacking juggernaut are the Giltinis. The battle's for second place. Right now, Utah's there. They have an even record with Austin of 8-5. But those bonus points, that's the reason Utah's in second place. If they can get a victory tonight over Houston and a bonus point, chances are they can lock up that playoff spot.
So again, all eyes will be on these teams trying to push and stay above that playoff cutoff line. 2 in the East, 2 in the West. This battle in the East continues when you rejoin us. Today's live coverage brought to you in part by Motion. Motion, the official therapy partner of Rugby United New York. Choose Motion and get back to what moves you. Lincoln Rose, Kit McConico back here. And Kit, this was a back and forth matchup early on. Honko the first to dot one down. This is after they gave up the first 3 points on a penalty to Toronto.
And Will Kelly able to split the uprights early on. Then Honko found a missed conversion, made it 5-3, and then spilled over right into the hands of Taylor Adams. He found Joaquin Tuculet The Argentine found the try zone, 10-5, Toronto with the advantage.
That'd be one of the few times early on the ball would bounce the way of Toronto. How about, again, the Fijian, they say, able to dot it down, gave him the downward pressure. So that's your second try. And then it wasn't long. Less than a minute later, New York back at it with Foden.
Ben Foden with the try, their first successful conversion after missing the first two, I should say. That was 17-10. And then Bonasso, the big flanker, the former Los Pumitas man, look at him go. Turned on the Jets right by Will Kelly for the 7-pointer.
Did you say 7-pointer?
Shepard says, I see you and I match you. Mike Shepard with one of his own, a 24-17 at the half. At one point, it was 19 unanswered for New York. Great response from Shep and the Arrows to make it a 7-point affair.
Take a look at some of the numbers. What in particular stands out to you?
Meters carried, 442 for New York. The line breaks there as well. Tackles missed, 11 by the Arrows, something they have to clean up. You're not seeing the handling errors right there. That was an issue for both teams in the first half. And the penalties, always an issue for New York. They were able to clean things up towards the second half of the first 40. We'll see how they do in the final 40.
So New York concedes that converted try to Shepard on the final play of the first half. You just wonder how large that will loom. Because what a shot in the arm that must have been for Toronto heading into halftime.
Oh, absolutely huge. And that man, Mike Shepard, we mentioned the Brampton native. He played with the Ontario Blues since 2013. It was a tough first half. He was in the midst of all the tackles, as he always is. But it was all New York in the final 20 minutes of half number one. 19 points unanswered. Bonasso able to blow right through the Arrows' defense. And it looked like this was going to be a match that New York was going to walk away with until Shepard and the Arrows found that last-second try at the end of the first 40. And now all to play for in half number two.
We start to look for some personnel changes, including Ollie Knott, who will get the start in the second half. Knott out of Victoria, the 26-year-old's been capped a couple times by Canada.
Yeah, loose forward coming in there, and he was in that inaugural World 10 Series last autumn.
We're also seeing Troy Lockyer in at fullback now. As the 24-year-old Brit, his second year with New York, former Cal Bear. Back when he helped guide them as an All-American to a national champion, both in 7s and 15s.
We've seen some of those fresh legs for both these teams, seen some of those names that aren't traditionally in the match day 23, particularly for Toronto. 12 call-ups for the Arrows, 9 for the Canadian national team. Then you add to that the 3 Uruguayans.
By the way, I think I misspoke earlier when I said New York needed another try. Obviously, they already have their 4 tries that they need to have at least 1 bonus point. Now they want the other 4 for a victory. Toronto, conversely, 2 trips past the try line.
It's fine now.
As we're back underway with our referee Mike Lash mic'd up.
Stay here.
Again, the Arrows traditionally a team that the attack comes along as the game progresses. They scored more points in that final 20 minutes. That's good news for them.
No, it's inside. You're inside, yes.
The pressure on New York. Toronto at this point playing for pride, playing to be the spoiler.
Tackle there, outside. Here.
Arrows just have 2 matches left on the schedule, DC and New England. Mentioned New York still with 3 more affairs, a trip to New England, and then they close out at home. Talk about a chance to really rack up some points late for that playoff push. They will be having some home cooking against Houston and NOLA. Boy, that matchup against the Gold is going to be a big one on that final day.
It is indeed. They're in round 18, a massive matchup.
Come down, come down. Come in.
New York, the beneficiaries of this match being moved a day forward. This match originally scheduled for tomorrow, but because of those tests coming up in just a few weeks across the pond, made it a Saturday game, a doubleheader here at Lupo Family Field.
Well, New York quickly with a chance to pull that Shepard try right back after conceding 7 points before halftime. Although never able to get a maul formed. But I know you like how this team plays out of the scrum. Let's see if any more set pieces can really help them dictate the pace here down the stretch.
Yeah, the forwards great on the attack. They're good with ball in hand. They can carry. It's not just about the backs for New York. everyone in orange is dangerous.
We have had 6 tries from 6 different men so far today. A little bit of daylight, but that window quickly slammed shut. Tawake thought he might have the next visit. That ball spills, able to hang on, and they'll call it a knock-on.
A massive tackle right there. Great work, just able to dislodge it. Came out of the hands of McManus, and that is exactly what the Arrows needed in that situation. See New York inside the 5. And what a job from the number 8, Ronan Foley. We mentioned one of the newer additions signed last week, the former Ireland U20 man.
Yeah, he's another Irishman with a Canadian passport.
Okay. Space. Gene, space.
Most of our starters still in this match. They welcomed the break at halftime to get their legs back under them.
We're finally seeing a bit of shade as the sun hiding for a bit, but it has been hot and humid today here in the greater Atlanta area.
Higgins into the Toronto scrum.
Again, you see the power of the forward pack from New York.
So after they saw a chance to score, slipped through their fingertips a moment ago with the knock-on,
You only get the one though.
they get the ball right back here.
Here Michael Ash saying just the one, so we will have another scrum this time for New York. But look at the men up front. Look at the forwards for New York.
Let's go.
Pure power.
Come on, Robert. Come on, let's go.
Tawake, the only man among those front 3 who was in the starting lineup last week against Utah. Talafo and Rebolo each came off the bench in the second half.
3 internationals on the front road. Talafo, the Manu Samoa international, Rebolo for Brazil, and Tawake for Fiji. That's a lot of experience up front.
Another nice push. Will they just tiptoe this one in? There's your pressure at the line. They're going to say no. They're going to bring it back to the 5. Forgive me.
I believe Michael Ash is going to say it was knocked on by McManus, the 22-year-old Kiwi. Falls Church, Virginia resident. We will see.
Guys, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
That's indeed the case.
Behind the line, behind the line, behind the line.
Well done, Michael Ash.
Sam.
We will come back, and now a chance here with the lineout for New York.
Boy, it was almost too easy.
Doesn't matter.
And that's that forward. You see what the pack can do for New York. And right now, they are having their way with the forwards from Toronto.
Yeah, good. Happy with that.
All right, another chance. This is your most successful look in Major League Rugby in terms of setting up a trip back to the try line. Honko does it again, as he will double dip a brace.
Well, I agree with you, but your guys
here in Georgia.
Made contact already, so even though he's got the unhappy with it.
And a great start just 5 minutes into the second half. Exactly what New York wanted to do, responding quickly to that last-minute try in the first half from Shepard in the Arrows. Honko with his second of the game. It started from the lineout. Rebolo with a beautiful dart right to Brakely. And the lineout set up the man from Marblehead, Mass. Great work, clean hands, set up perfectly. The big man rumbling. Honko not to be stopped from that distance.
This is where having a new cast for Toronto suiting up today probably does not help them in terms of trying to stay organized on an opportunity like that.
You're exactly right. And we've seen the effect, particularly in the pack. Toronto having some issues there. No trouble on the conversion from Bennett. Makes it 31-17. But a lot of new faces for Toronto that have shown up in the last few weeks. And it takes time for those guys to gel. You've seen that a few times, miscommunication. You've seen it in the set pieces, and really those are things that you can only get better at with time and practice.
5 tries today on the road for New York, 2 of them from Honko.
Well, he'll be with he'll be with the USA Eagles for those matches coming up July the 4th against England at Twickenham. That is going to be absolutely something else. And then on the 10th, across, taking on the Irish in Dublin at Aviva Stadium.
Sheridan catches that ball with his foot on the near touchline. So by rule, again, he's deemed to have brought it into touch.
And that's just a mistake from Johnny Sheridan that time. Bolton, Ontario native. There was a bit of pressure on him, but he has to know where that touch line is and just take a step or two back.
See some crisper kits making their way out. There's Cole Keith.
Boys, we're still doing subs, so just relax, okay?
Keith out of New Brunswick.
You happy, Hal?
And it's going to be a complete line change up front for the Arrows.
Yeah, Rob Brower, the old warhorse, will come off, 38 years young. He had a great match last week in round 14. Really put some starch into that tag.
Tomlinson, Keith, and Cortez, your new triumvirate up front.
Well, the good news for them is Gaston Cortez, the Argentine international. He packs a punch, does Cortez, and he will certainly bring an improvement to the scrum.
Well, the knock-on the failure to squeeze that one in by Taulafo, and as a result, an advantage for Toronto to play, though they couldn't really capitalize on it with the ensuing kick.
A few miscues from New York, but the attack has been so good. They've taken advantage of the scrums. They haven't lost a single one. They've won 3 as New York.
A lot of folks trying to console the Samoan. I think he'll get over it.
And for New York, only 5 penalties conceded thus far. You think about 4 by Toronto. That's a pretty good stat for New York. If they can keep the penalties conceded under double digits, that's where they want to be.
Crouch.
On me. Down. I'm watching you.
Stand up. Boys, you're leaning, okay? I know it's your first one, but you're leaning. Yeah. They jump out of the way, you guys are falling, okay? Keep your own balance. No, I appreciate that. I'll give it to you.
Nothing changed, boys. Keep it there.
They have to push straight. That was what Mike Lash was saying there to Tomlinson.
Well, again, we see the 3 men from Wales, New Brunswick, and Argentina combining up there up front. Let's see if they can be a little cleaner here on their second try.
Sit.
Well done. Much improved in the scrum from Toronto, and you see what those new additions, particularly Gaston Cortez, brings.
Well, and how much is that? Now they have the fresh legs, perhaps the stronger side up front until New York makes some changes. As they will send this one into touch off of the boot of Mr. Malcolm.
9.
Sam Malcolm,
on the far side, and then this guy here
just such a talented individual. Mentioned arrow number 10. What he's been able to do, has club records in so many categories: points, conversions, penalty goals, kicking meters, and
he is the only non-Canadian to ever be the captain of this side.
That says it all right there.
And another change. Andrew Ferguson will come on. And who's been capped 10 times in his first 29 years on this earth.
Mississauga, the Lorne Park Secondary School man. Ferguson, arrow number 9, so both arrow number 9 and 10 now on the pitch.
Detroit, your captain today and the rest of the way. Malcolm tries to spin it out wide, but into touch.
Poor decision there from Malcolm. He was looking for Sheridan, just unable to find him, and it's just better to keep ball in hand, keep the attack going, continue to go through the phases. You see it, Malcolm just tried to loop it out to Sheridan. Sheridan, no chance of getting on the end of that.
They love Sheridan and what he can do there on the outside channel, but just could not connect there.
That's where they want to get him. They want to get him on the outside channel, get him in a one-on-one situation, but you have to get him an accurate pass.
Just one score here since re-emerging from halftime. 7 points for New York. as they extend their lead today.
Heavy, hey, 10. Heavy, but sorry.
As you have to imagine with some of these late additions to the Arrows, they're probably wondering, hey, where can we get them some kits? Well, you don't have to suit up on match day to look good. As
Guys, you guys okay?
MLR shop.
No, just a calm discussion.
Great source for
down here and
all of your favorite items. And you know, Dan and Pete on MLR Kickoff podcast each week usually have a few good ideas of some hot items each week.
I was trying to help Pete out last week as Sunday was Father's Day. I kept dropping the hint that shopmlr.com. We even know that Dr. Pete is a medium. I hope he got some MLR gear.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say he could talk to people who have passed on.
I can't let that one go. Sorry, guys. It's too far outside.
He's an adult medium?
I appreciate they didn't compete.
He's a fit man. He's in good shape. Give Pete Steinberg credit.
Pedro was very complimentary of his time with you last weekend.
I just kept slipping dollars across the table.
Yeah. Let's go. New York pinned back for this next scrum.
Let's go, boys. Point up.
Toronto, big mistake, unable to take advantage of the New York penalty. And I was complimenting New York, just 4 penalties in the first 40 minutes, and they've already picked up 2 here in the last 5.
Use it, use it, use it, use it.
Yes, boys! Super! Well done. There you go, Wilson.
Well done by New York. Toronto,
Heavy.
again, the forwards, it's been in favor of New York. Those mid up front, Palafo, Rebolo, Tawake, and in the second row, Breakley and Savetta, they are having their way.
Who is it?
Able to get a little more distance between themselves and that try line.
Yeah, time's still on.
Just knocking the mid and blue back.
They'll set up this line now.
You guys having fun?
How can you not be having fun? What kind of question is that?
That is what we call a rhetorical question. More changes here. Talafo now comes off. The fresh legs up front from Anthony Parry.
What was that? Talk to me about it, man.
Now Anthony went to a Division III school here in the States, Gettysburg College, lacrosse and football.
That's what you call a well-rounded athlete.
Malcolm right up the middle, cross midfield.
Backwards off.
They say it goes backwards, no knock on against Toronto.
Off who? Talk to me, man. Okay, back frontage.
They're going to say it was a knock on Toronto, so advantage for New York. They'll bring it back.
Yeah. Give me a color, mate. I need a color.
You may have heard Mike Lash. Again, he has an earpiece. He is constantly talking to his assistant referees to ask what they are able to spot. And one of them clearly saying it was a forward touch.
And tried to do a bit too much there, and indeed it was. You could see that ball batted forward. I believe it was Mitch Richardson, the man who did it. Been a bit scattered in that last sequence for both sides. Both will be looking to calm things down just a bit, play cleaner.
All right, so Toronto with a reinforced front trio. New York has answered by bringing in one new body up front.
Bind. Sorry, no, that's me.
But Rebolo and Tawake still remain out there.
No. Don't spray them, that was my fault. You're going to spray someone, spray me.
Yeah. Hold the right, boy. It's new for me.
Guys, hey. Just do your job. Do your job.
It's just the piss stick.
Oh, I know.
Front row love.
I know. It's good.
Front row love.
Seconds. Yeah.
We're trying to get that trending on Twitter, correct?
Bind.
And the 24-year-old Fijian.
No, leaning in. You're leaning in. Yeah.
A little urgency here for Toronto.
Go for it. Wait.
They've seen this deficit grow. Eager to get things back underway. Bouncing off tackles. Ollie Knott. Can they dot down their third on the day? The captain sends one out wide.
Boys, come on.
And intervening finally is Lockyer.
Yep.
That's what you want from your fullback. Your safety valve there defensively for New York.
6.
It was a fantastic job, that final ball on the spot. You see it right here, going through Richardson, right into the hands, and Malcolm just unable to hold on. That's a situation where Malcolm patting his chest, my bad, and he knew that the chance was there. You have to make the most of it.
Let's go. Let's go, Joey.
As again, the changes continue for New York. Kyle Sumption coming on. We saw him getting the start with the 6 on his back last week against Utah. Against his home state team, he is a Provo product.
And former BYU Cougar. Eagle number 450.
Won a couple of national championships with BYU.
More recently, one of the assistant coaches for West Point there at the U.S. Military Academy.
All right, back to Malcolm.
No, we'll play.
This is still just a 2 full score deficit for Toronto. Chance to cut it in half here. That ball spills backwards.
It's going forward, guys.
No, pardon me, a knock on.
A beautiful fend from Sheridan initially. That's where they want to get Johnny Sheridan. That outside channel you mentioned just does a great job. Giuseppe Dutoit, just the 5th captain ever in Arrows franchise history. And he was the one with the bridge pass out to Sheridan. Sheridan with the outstanding fend back into Dutoit and dislodged. Brilliant tackle to knock it away.
Now you're allowed to knock the defender forward, right? What a stiff
Guys,
arm.
let's get a bit of height, okay? Let's get a bit of height.
Seconds.
Again, after the knock on Malcolm here, opting for the scrum again, New York. They've enjoyed success today.
They've certainly had the ascendancy in the scrum, have the men from the Big Apple.
Yeah. Nah, that's me, sorry.
So they'll still get 2 more tries at this scrum,
Don't stand up
apparently.
and react. We agreed pre-match we weren't going to do that, okay? Yeah, I think everyone's getting tired. What? Big fella. Just one thing really simple, really quick. Let's get some height, okay? Okay, we're spending too much time on the floor. If we get some height, hopefully we'll stay up and we'll get some rugby going. Yeah?
Let's go.
Just work with me on that one, please. I'll reward you if I need to, but you need to reward me with some height, okay?
Asking for height, asking them for them to stay up and more likely to have a clean scrum rather than having things collapse.
Talking there.
Bind.
Tuwake, the Fijian international, former Manawatu Turbos man, looking to give that good attacking platform, straight backs.
Standing up, over there.
New York ruled to stand up, and so New York, who was dominant in the scrum early on, having some issues of late, some changes for Toronto. You saw Cole Keith there, Cortez and Tomlinson having a bit of success.
So here's Toronto's chance to find that next try and cut this deficit perhaps in half.
They need to find a try right here. We will have the hydration break coming up in a moment, just mere seconds. And if they can find a try, cut this one back to a 1-score game, it'd be huge for the Arrows.
All right, so these days your hooker is Iramescu for, or pardon me, is Joe Tomlinson for Toronto. And off the mark, a knock on, so advantage here for New York.
Yeah. Got the advantage for the knock on half?
Sorry.
I'll move. Yeah, just a knock on only. Let's go.
Toronto was hoping to win some favor. They thought New York was guilty of rolling a couple of times with that ball. Toronto does finally get it back out on the wing. Eyeing the try line. Oh, over the outstretched fingertips and secured by Mitch Richardson.
What an offload from Joaquin Tuculet, the Argentine, being bundled out into touch, was able to get the offload over the outstretched fingers of the defender right into Richardson, and the Stony Creek, Ontario man able to dot it down for 5. What a play, what an offload. Look at this from Tuculet. Somehow able to get it up and over McManus.
And the Arrows are back in business.
Yeah, but thank you. Do water now too.
Conversion pending. Then we'll likely have our hydration break. This will be a tough angle, but these would be a critical 2 points in the way this one's playing out. This would make it a one-score affair. Kelly looking to do the honors. It's through. And Toronto is back within striking distance, down by a lone score, trailing by 7. Here at their home away from home, we step aside with still 20 minutes to go. It's our final hydration break.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
Let's play two. Well, maybe not these two teams, but we'll have more Major League Rugby on this pitch later on tonight, as well as the home side, Atlanta, will be looking to defend its pitch. But right now, Toronto, remember they cut it down to a single score right before halftime. They've done it again here with a little short of 20 minutes to go.
What a match this has been. Atlanta 19 points unanswered in the first half, and then Toronto was able to come back. Shepard with the try just seconds before halftime. That cut it to 7. Again, it's all New York here to start the second half, and then Toronto comes right back, cuts it to a 7-point score again.
Yeah.
Well, if Rugby United scores again, they'll have a new man looking to split the sticks. Chris Mattina comes on for Harry Bennett.
Who's gone?
And we also see Charlie Hewitt coming on for Nick Savetta.
Hewitt is a big unit, the 26-year-old out of Plymouth, England, 6'7", 275 pounds, will take over in the second row for the Eagle Savetta.
Yeah, his second year, Hewitt with New York after previously being with the SaberCats in Houston. Well, you wonder, does New York start to feel a little bit of pressure?
Scrum.
I think they absolutely do. The pressure is on them, and you mentioned the bonus point. We may have jumped the gun a bit when they had those 19 unanswered. It's not about the bonus point so much as it's about getting the 4 for the victory. They already have the 4 tries. They need the win.
And all this really,
I just need you to show me that you're strong on your feet, and I'll reward you. Okay. Come here.
even more critical after seeing last week slip away by a point to Utah.
29-28, Warriors scoring in the final few minutes. Both these teams, we mentioned early, Toronto, their 9 losses, 4 have come by 7 points or fewer. And for New York, their 4 losses, 2 have been by 7 points or fewer.
Hurry up. You, these guys, hurry up. No, well, let's go. Get in.
Well, we mentioned 2021 has been the year of elevated blood pressure if you're a rugby fan in Major League Rugby, as there have not been a lot of lopsided matchups, although the first time these two teams met in New York, it was a lopsided one in favor of Toronto. Could they pick up a sweep this year of New York and really play the role of spoiler?
Yeah, that match in April seems like a lifetime ago when New York fell 53-12 to Toronto.
Stand up, stand up.
To your previous point,
just stand up, please. Stand up, stand up.
If you're an MLR fan, you're not going anywhere until that final whistle blows.
I appreciate we're having a good contest here, but we can't restart play until you guys are steady, okay? Sole purpose of a scrum is to restart play, okay? Keep it steady, keep it square. I'll give you the ball. We can carry on. Fair deal? Let's go.
Let's go, boys. Mark that. Go, Walton.
In your scrum half the rest of the way for Toronto, Andrew Ferguson.
Go. Second. Big Sammer. Second. Let's go, GC. Go. Void straight through.
Crouch.
Give Mike Lash credit. So often the referees, they're the ones who we only point out when they're making mistakes, but he's done a fantastic job of managing this match today.
Use it, use it. Let's go. Steady, steady. Hold it, Mark.
Looking to put New York on their heels.
Cancel that.
Recovered by Foden. He himself with a try today.
On his feet. Head right.
Great work at the breakdown from Toronto. The big booming kick, equally impressive with the chase, and that's what you need. You saw 3 blue jerseys down the pitch, applying the pressure to Foden, and they've now won the penalty, have the Arrows.
Yeah, but they're likely going to be down a man for a little bit here. Looks like cramps have started to catch up. Another look, Foden quickly swallowed by the sea of blue arrows.
Great chase, all right there. Malcolm alongside Kelly.
No, it's fit. Yeah, take him off then.
I think it's Johnny Sheridan, the man with it.
Take him off.
You would assume is a cramp.
Yeah, time is off, guys. Time is off.
Hoping able to walk this one off.
No, it's fit, cool.
Yeah. How are you feeling on this?
Huh?
How are you feeling?
I'm living the dream, mate. How are you doing?
Doing all right now. We can stay on top.
We all good for time back on?
On you.
Yeah. Let's go, boys.
Yeah, Connor Buckley is going to come on. Pardon me. Faust will come on, the teenager.
Well, there it is. Now it's official. Kobe Faust, the 19-year-old out of Uxbridge, Ontario, the youngest player in a Major League Rugby history to see the pitch.
Hold. Good.
Arrows 5 meters away from making this a brand new match. Trailing by 7.
An advantage.
Who can be that final meter eater?
What do you want? Just
They're going to have to come back after the
here,
advantage.
He's not rolling, and you've got one collapsing. Cool.
Couple of options to choose from, dealer's choice.
Nate. So they're not rolling here. The original one here is 19 claps in the maul. Okay. There seems to be a trend every time we get down on this area of the field that you're letting away penalties, okay? Okay. Guys need to endeavour to keep the maul up. Yep. It's all clear of the tackle. Yep. If the attitude doesn't change, I will sit someone down. Yep. Is that clear? Yeah. Thank you.
We have not seen anybody sent to the sin bin, let alone a penalty try awarded. But New York now on notice. That's not how you want to concede your final 7 points of this lead.
No, not at all. Michael Ashton, sir, doing a very good job explaining things there to Brakely. USA Eagle, the only proper response, yes, sir. But New York, the penalties continuing to mount now, getting closer to that double-digit total where they did not want to be.
Simple stuff.
All right, Toronto, this is where you must execute.
Fit.
Line out coming up.
There have been issues in the throws. They'll need a good one here.
No, you're happy with that.
Tomlinson able to do that.
Yeah.
9 meters out. Ferguson will help center this ball.
Stay. Use it. No, dear.
Cole Keith inserts himself.
Ball is available. Use it. Roll tackler.
New York not just defending its own try line, but defending their place above the playoff cutoff line in the East. And the Arrows, a knock-on with inches separating them from a chance to tie it all up.
Joe Tomlinson lost it forward. It was a good initial carry from Ollie Knott. The 26-year-old out of Victoria, BC, able to find a bit of space. Tomlinson coming in and lost it just at the try line, did the Welshman.
Yeah.
Turnovers have certainly been a factor here today.
They have indeed. They've been a huge factor, and in very important situations. We see this one right there. Tomlinson, unable to get across, was at the line. But both sides not doing themselves any favors when it comes to turnovers, and those numbers continuing to mount. 13 turnovers by Toronto, 8 by New York.
And a slew of handling miscues. Cellini will come on for Shepherd. How about one big name for another?
Those are two well-known names for the Arrows. Paul Cellini, the Vaughan, Ontario native, out of St. Joan of Arc Catholic High School, comes on. Another Canadian international.
Stability, okay? Stability, and you'll get the
Played all but one match in the franchise history, has Cellini.
Let's go, Coley. Second. Go, Joe.
So you're saying he's almost the Sam Windsor of Toronto.
Crouch.
Not to be confused with Sean Windsor, former Arrow.
Sink.
Important to make that distinction.
Binds.
All right, so moments ago in New York, saw Toronto surging for that try line, only to see that ball squeeze loose.
The free kicks as soon as you move that come, okay?
New York's been good in the scrum. It's one of the strengths of this team, but the penalties we mentioned, they concede the most in Major League Rugby, and they are now on that double-digit mark where they didn't want to be.
And another friendly reminder about a couple of friends. MLR All Access, Tuesdays, 5:30 Eastern, over on Fox Sports 2, as Stacy and Mark will help recap you on anything you happen to miss from this weekend. It's another full schedule of Major League Rugby, and of course they'll help you understand what all the implications are and ramifications with regard to the postseason this year. It looks like we may have somebody else capturing the shield this year, as the only two so far both reside in Seattle.
Seawolves, the only team to have claimed a shield. They have the two. There was not a championship held last year. It's going to be a new owner come 2021.
You can't do that. Knock on.
And they'll bring it back.
At this point, I wouldn't bet against that shield traveling south down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Well, of course, that's where it typically is hosted in San Diego, where we saw the first two competitions take place, one with and one without the actual host city involved. San Diego's just happy that they're actually hosting the Legion this year after a quick dalliance with Las Vegas.
And the Legion bouncing around a bit and saying it's been a bit difficult for them. I don't think anyone has anything on what the Arrows have had to deal with this year as far as adversity.
Our officials coming together to make sure.
Is the sub replacement on for him, Hal? Is the man on?
Aramescu in for Minturn.
Is the sub replacement on for him?
Aramescu, he and Matina, they are New Yorkers to the core. Those two both out of Xavier High School, that powerhouse high school program there in Manhattan, national championship sides.
Yeah, Rob briefly stepped out of the state to go become an All-American with Penn State.
And Matina went to the University of Delaware. They quickly came right back to the Big Apple. We talk a lot about the Arrows and what they're able to do for Canadian rugby, but you look at guys coming out of the Empire State, the city. This is exactly what Rugby United is able to do. Such great local talent. Guys like Matina and Aramescu, perfect examples.
This is New York, making sure everybody understands what these next 10 minutes are all about. Right now, they sit second in the East. Some folks questioned if they would show up in Georgia and just steamroll over this makeshift lineup. But the Arrows have come to fight and represent Canada proud, even though about half the team literally has left to represent their home country.
Well, they lead the league in call-ups, 12, 9 for the Canadian national team. They're 3 Uruguayans, Diana, Mieres, Levas. They've already left to join their national side, but there was going to be no capitulation, no laying down from Toronto, and we've seen that all match long.
Keith, Quatrin, Roland, Rumball, Brody, Kelly, Jones, Parfrey, Lesage, Mieres, Levas, Diana. The first 9 for Canada, as Kit mentioned, the subsequent 3 for Uruguay.
And what a job there, just when you're singing the praises of the internationals called up. The forwards bow their neck. Great work from Cole Keith. The loose head out of Sussex, New Brunswick. Another Canadian international putting the power on. And this match far from decided. It's just a 7-point affair, still 10 minutes to play. You get the feeling that the longer this goes, just being a one-score game, things tilting a bit in the Arrows' favor.
Malcolm boots this one into touch.
Again, big scrum won by Toronto. Set piece dominated by most of this game for New York.
By the time he gets here, we should be fine. Just doing stuff. Just doing his stuff.
Well, there's going to be a little change now in the front row love dynamic.
Samu Tawake coming off. Charlie Hewitt taking his spot, the Englishman, the former England U18 man, former Sabercat in Houston.
Tawake was the final holdout among the front three, as he'll join his fellow starters now on the bench as spectators.
Playing's good. Yeah.
Ferguson centers this one to De La Vega.
Good inside ball. Like to see a bit more of that from Toronto. Looks like they're having some success.
Honko with 2 tries today, trying to help step up on the defensive side as well for New York. Tomlinson. The hooker frees it up quickly. Kelly will test the waters.
Oh, huge job there from Tomlinson, able to keep that one from being a knock. Well defended for the time being by New York. They just need to be careful, not commit any penalties.
Yeah, finally the knock-on catches up to Toronto after they had seen several balls spill loose. Each time Ferguson was Johnny on the spot, but the luck ran out.
Ferguson has done a good job, the replacement scrum half. He's quick to the breakdown, getting a clean, accurate ball out with speed. Seeing the effects of fatigue on both these sides, the heat and humidity.
Yeah, Mr. Cortez and his mates, hands on hips.
Same height as last time, sir.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to start again.
Well, it's these moments that you just physically feel like you can't continue that are when these matches this year seemingly have been decided in Major League Rugby.
And give Wilton Rebolo, the Brazilian international, the man for the Tupis. He's the only remaining front row for either side left on the pitch. It started tonight's match.
Bind. Gents.
Yeah, failure at the bind there on the right side.
Yeah, okay, righto. Just because I'm coming over here doesn't mean you two can play up, okay? So just keep doing your job. Let's get it right, boys. Yes, sir.
Let's go, scrum time. Max out, Shanko.
Yeah, Max here.
You can see the props on whatever side the official's not on. That time Cortez looking for a little bit of an advantage.
That's all of what, 3 meters away? Mike Lash asserting I can still cover that ground.
He certainly can. He's proven that much.
Sit.
Let's go forward.
Here's the shoulder straight down.
Thank you.
Pulled down again. I think it was indeed Cortez. You saw it on that far side.
You went straight down.
Collapsing the scrum.
About 5.5 minutes to go. Can New York hang on? They saw Utah close late, ripping points away from them,
Guys, black is you.
making things a tad more precarious in the East.
I can guarantee you they will not take a deep breath until that final whistle blows, particularly after what happened to them last week. They may have thought they had the victory in the bag. Warriors thought otherwise.
New York guaranteed at least 1 point here on the road. Already 5 tries today. And Rebolo still in there after getting the start at hooker.
Beautiful line-out steal from the Arrows, exactly what they needed.
Oh, what a recovery just to keep the ball in play. But to subsequently land on that ball as well was too much to ask.
poor pass there from De La Vega to his countryman, Tuculet. Tuculet
No. Stay. No.
trying to play a bit of soccer with that one.
Use it. Let's go. No. No. Yes.
Time of the essence now for Toronto, trailing by 7.
No, it's taken in. Sorry, yes. Yeah, it's taken in. No, it's taken in.
A lot of fatigued men out there on the pitch right now. And this is one that New York fans are going to keep an eye on early going. New England with a lead over NOLA Gold. It's going to be New England hosting New York next week in round 16.
And so they'll watch that match, both to scout it and maybe even cheer for their opposition going into next week.
Well, I think at this point, with just 3-point lead in the standings over NOLA Gold, they'll be going for the Free Jacks at least.
One. That's one.
At least for today.
A little more space, more time off that clock. Most recent run from Will Leonard, among your starters, going strong. And time to flip the real estate.
Hold, Blue. Hold, stay there. Stay.
Arrows have to make sure to stay on side on that kick.
A good kick there, finding itself in touch. Again, time an issue for Toronto. New York wisely taking every precious second they can, milking the clock as much as they can.
Half step. Thank you. Guys, back up. Tommy, back up.
So again, Wilton Rebolo hoping to join his Brazilian national team for their upcoming match on July 11th if they can take care of business today. Trying to take care of some business of his own with his mates in the orange and blue here with Rugby United.
You're outside.
About 2 minutes away from that finish line.
Okay, just wait there.
Been a very good showing from the man from the state of Minas Gerais.
Charge down, an opportunity here. Oh, just inches away from Adrian Wadden.
Back in by Blue.
From just destroying the hopes of New York of finding 5 here.
The Mississauga native, the big second row, all 6'6" of him. Matina bobbled it right into the outstretched arms of Wadden, and it just took one bounce too many, could not find it in the try zone. And that would have been something else.
6'6" Adrian Wadden almost was going to be a recurring presence in the nightmares of Rugby United and their fans.
Toronto, one of the best teams in the league at charging down kicks. Lesage had a try last week against NOLA on this very pitch with the charge down.
Still hope for the Arrows. You're not going to hear that final whistle until that ball is no longer in play. So they've got time as long as they can stay clean.
That's what it's about. Playing clean, not committing penalties, not turning it over, but what a huge charge down.
Each team with 1 try here in the second half.
Barnett's lost forward.
And New York now will play with the advantage, and that should just about do it, as they will send again Toronto backtracking.
Play on.
It's been even 7 points apiece here in the second half after New York led 24-17 at the break.
Lost forward.
That's going to be just short of the 80-minute mark, so no final whistle. But the next miscue would likely do it.
Our referee, the official timekeeper,
I got him.
but you would imagine there's very little time remaining. It'll be a massive sigh of relief when New York hears that final whistle.
30 seconds left.
30 seconds after this.
So
there's the knock on, just unable to hold on, and that may have been that final opportunity for the Arrows.
Well, New York on the restart here is not going to immediately be able to send it into touch for the punctuation. They've been told there's about half a minute once everybody's back on their feet.
Clock's a bit fast, but I've got 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left? Yeah.
Toronto, 4 of their 9 losses have been by 7 points or fewer. And if this scoreline remains the same, it'll be 5. Just gives you an idea of the heartbreaking losses this team. They've been in every single match, with the exception of 2 this year. They've been in this one from the beginning. Another tough loss shaping up to be for Toronto.
The charge down from Adrian Wadden a couple minutes back, almost able to help tie this match up. That ball just would not stay within his reach. And that bottom nugget right there, those 4 losses by 7 or fewer.
Crouch.
All right. Scrum for New York.
Bind. Sit. No, let's go. Here you go. No. Ball's gone. Ball's gone.
No better way to end it than if they can make a 6th visit to that try line. They're told that's time. And that's 5 points headed back to New York with Rugby United. They remain among your top 2 in the East. Critical points down the stretch with still 3 matches and 3 more opportunities to pad their points on the table.
Massive victory for New York. All hats off to Toronto. Another fantastic performance, but coming up a bit short. It's been a difficult year for the Arrows in New York. Very much in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference after that 5 points.
New York bounces back from that loss last week against Utah. As we'll talk to that man, a brace today for Honko Hermeshuis when you rejoin us.
With the updated Presto app, you can load funds onto your Presto card instantly. So no need for this, or to wait here. Go from app to tap, just like that. Go Transit. Safety never stops. Our schedules have changed, and we'll keep updating them to serve you better. So be sure to visit gotransit.com to see the latest schedules. Have a very safe trip. Go Transit. Safety never stops.
A massive 5 points for New York as Rugby United gets the victory 31-24 over Toronto. They continue to stay in second place in the Eastern Conference standings. Now joined by our man of the match for New York, USA Eagle Hanko Hermashais. And Hanko, how big was that try coming out in the second half? Toronto had cut it to a 7-point game. You were able to dot one down just 5 minutes into half number 2. What did that mean for your side momentum-wise?
No, it definitely gave us a boost to end that half. I mean, every try you score gives you that extra boost going into the next play of the game, so that definitely helped us and gave us a boost. It's unfortunately they scored there before half, but we came back out and just firing off the half.
Hanko, a big 5 points for your team. We mentioned it. You were in second place in the Eastern Conference, but NOLA Gold right behind you in third, just 3 points away. For your side, does this give you any breathing room, or is it just looking at the next few matches in the regular season?
It doesn't give us any breathing room. We're not here to just now sit back and watch other teams play. We're here for the Holland. And by the time we get there, we're going to be in the finals, and we're going to these next matches. We're going to take everything every week, and we're just going to go play again.
Well, your next match, it's going to be for the Eagles. You head across the pond. 2 massive matches for the USA, taking on England on July 4th at Twickenham, and then on July 10th, you'll be taking on Ireland there at Aviva Stadium in Dublin. What does it mean for you to represent the red, white, and blue?
It means the world to me. Whenever you get to put the first time you put that jersey on, every time you put that jersey on, it feels like it's the first time ever. And that jersey is never guaranteed yours. So making the squad again and going means the world to me. And I can't wait to be back in England to take on England and Ireland.
Well, we wish you best of luck, Hanko Hermashais, the pride of Kimberley, South Africa, and Omaha, Nebraska, our man of the match. Congratulations. Best of luck the rest of the season, and good luck across the pond in those international test matches.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, certainly have enjoyed watching Hanko's career throughout his time in Major League Rugby as well as on the international stage. Kit, we take a look at some of the final numbers. In the end, New York does what they need to do for the points here on the road.
They did indeed, and penalties conceded. Well, the number you don't see, turnovers conceded, 19 turnovers by Toronto, and that was a huge factor in New York's success today. Give them credit. Toronto battled the entire match, but ultimately New York just too much.
Everybody else in the East is now officially on notice that New York's match has gone final. They're currently tied with Atlanta. With that said, we still have a busy weekend of Major League Rugby. A lot of matches just now getting underway and several more tonight.
Yeah, big matches for Atlanta tonight. They will be in Houston taking on the SaberCats. They're going to be looking for the 5 points to extend their lead. And NOLA Gold, they understand they have to get the victory and the full 5 points if they're going to get into the playoffs.
We saw fireworks in this one early and often in Marietta. When it's all said and done, despite the fight of the arrows, New York takes care of business. They stay above that cutoff line in the East in the number 2 spot. For Kit McConico and our entire crew, I'm Lincoln Rose saying so long. Another memorable weekend of Major League Rugby just about in the books, and yet those playoffs just keep getting closer and closer. What a final stretch it's going to be here in Season 4 of MLR.